YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back on Total War Rome 2 in an online 2 versus 2 match. This one's going to be on the pyramids. I'm going to be representing Syracuse in this one. I'm bringing pretty much a hoplite corps, which is going to be rough, and I'll explain why here in a minute. Got a Massilian teammate, Galatian opponent, and a Carthaginian opponent. Just a short, quick overview of the builds. Mine, I've got 2 mercenary veterans, about 4 thorax hoplites, including my general, 3 Sam Knights, 3 Italian Cav, Citizen Cav, 3 Balearics. Let's cover the Galatian army. 7 legionaries, 3 auxiliary Syrian archers, Celtic slinger, Galatian sword, 2 mercenary Cappadocians, horse skirmisher, Galatian spear, and noble horse general. Carthage has 3 Cretan archers. They've got 2 mercenary Gallic warriors, 2 noble fighters, 2 Carthaginian hoplites, 3 African pikes, 2 Iberian swords, 3 Carthaginian cav, and a bodyguard. And then my Massilian teammate has 3 thorax swords, 2 axe warriors and a Celtic warrior, 3 Massilian hoplites, 2 Massilian thurio spears, 2 lancers, and 4 Massilian cav. So it's going to be an interesting 2 versus 2. I'm actually going to fast forward the first part as we approach the 2 armies, because there's not a whole lot that happens during that phase. Facing Galatia with Syracuse is risky. I had actually hoped to face Carthage, to be quite honest, but then that would have just left Massilia to face Galatia. Galatia will be kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room, if you will, because they definitely possess kind of the infantry power here. But this is where you're going to see something odd here. Once the skirmish phase begins, which I know is actually going to be tough for me, because these Syrian archers can actually take a bit of a beating from Balearic slingers. They don't have a shield, but they have very good armor, and they have pretty good attack in return. I'm going to focus fire on them. There's a Celtic slinger, like I said, supporting them over here. So what's going to be interesting is the Galatian legionaries, though. I don't know whether it was for missile protection or what. Maybe a mistake. They go into a shield wall formation prematurely, leaving these large gaps in between the unit, meaning that if I charge them in wide formations, my men can wrap around and be able to attack from the rear, combining that with hoplite phalanx, and all of a sudden I'm thinking that I might be able to win a head-on engagement. My biggest problem with the army that I brought here is that there are no meat shields. So if the Galatian player is to come out of his shield wall and charge me, I will actually decisively lose this engagement. I do have a small numbers advantage across the front with my Sam Knights, and we'll see whether or not I can take advantage of any such thing. The charges are going to occur here in the center, and you're going to see my men hit and wrap around as I was explaining. So they will get technically probably rear attacks onto the Galatian legionaries. There's my mercenary veterans there in the center. My Sam Knight warriors over here engage some Galatian legionaries. It's going to be a pretty close fight there. And my Sam Knights here engaging Galatian swordsmen, who will do okay off the charge, but then get slaughtered in a long-term engagement. And then some Sam Knights here actually somehow managed to get a very good engagement with these Galatian legionaries. There must have been a missed charge. My men are now in hoplite phalanx. I'm moving up my general. Going to use battle rhythm to support on one of my hoplites that's in the fight. And over here, I get busy chasing this horse skirmisher, which was a bit of a mistake because it wasted some javelins on my light hoplite earlier. But I'm going to try and put some pressure on it. Really should just be focused on the Cappadocians. The noble horse general is a potential threat as well. Over here, though, I'm already piercing a gap with my mercenary Italian cav. I'm going to smack this Celtic slinger down. The Massilian player attacks straight into the front of pikes here, which is a big mistake. The Cretans are firing away. Over here it looks like we got some axe warriors engaging with Gallic warriors, which is probably not the best engagement. Thorax swords will do okay there. The mercenary noble fighters for Carthage being held in reserve, and they are going to be extremely difficult for the Massilian player to deal with. The noble horse comes over here, chases my Italian cav. I'm going to retreat through my own men while rear charging the Galatian swords to get them off the field, and then leave my Sam Knight warriors to face the noble horse general. And then over here, there's about to be a cavalry engagement. I make a mistake of chasing this horse skirmisher, which is probably out of ammo. And over here, I make some movements like I'm considering to outflank. And I'm basically going to end up drawing the attention of the Cappadocian cav, which is now inbound on my men. And I'm clicking other orders, and I'm actually going to miss my first charge here. So quite bad, because the Cappadocian cav was already going to be difficult to deal with. So I'm going to quickly rush the light hoplites in with rapid advance. This was the reason I brought them. I do get a charge off here, but one of my cavalry here is a citizen cavalry. I don't believe it's that one. I believe that was an Italian cav. And this one's going to be my citizen cav. I'm going to swing it around and get into the back of the mercenary Cappadocians. Even with the outflanking and the spears, this is going to be a tough fight. Mercenary Cappadocians are a strong unit, and they're now going to be reinforced by Galatian spears. Fortunately, I think my light hoplites ate the majority of the javelins that came in on that charge. So back to an overall view. Infantry fight's going very well for me because of the hoplite phalanx. It gives my men a +5 bonus both in weapon and melee attack, which is actually going to give my men a key advantage here. The noble horse general's retreating. My Italian cavalry, I don't know if I meant to get into him or not, or if he's chasing me. It looks like he may be chasing me. The Massilian player is starting to lose, and these noble fighters are going to come in here, and they're going to absolutely wreck through these thorax swords. In fact, they're quite gone. And the Massilian player over here is faced with an engagement where if he takes these Carthaginian cav, he's going to end up being engaged by the late Carthaginian hoplites that are nearby. So Massilian cavalry straight on with Carthaginian cav is probably not a brilliant engagement as it is, and he gets blobbed, and the Carthaginian hoplites are no doubt going to follow. There's some already being mobilized that direction. But yeah, the Massilian cavalry is blobbed. Not going to be the best of engagements here for the Massilian cav. I believe the Carthaginian cav should be superior there. On my side, I've had a key break over here. My Samnites get through and put pressure on the general, so the general's going to be forced to flee. Over here, the fight continues to kind of rage on. I'm about to lose a late hoplite, or a light hoplite. I've lost a couple of cav units, but my men continue to fight on there pretty well overall. I'm beating this Galatian legionary, and I'm starting to get a little bit of a waver started amongst the Galatian legionaries in the main line, though I think they're going to stabilize and last a little bit longer. But this Samnite warrior is now free to rear charge the Galatian legionary nearest to it, and that's going to put an end to this fight, which was otherwise taking quite a while. You see my guys wrapped around the back, that's giving them the attack and the rear penalty. And this charge of Samnite warriors from behind is going to be enough to break that unit very quickly. And now you get a mass waver amongst the Galatians. So the Galatians are in trouble. This fight here is actually continuing to do fairly well for me, though some of my cav came back. I can bring them back into the fight. The light hoplites here proved extremely valuable, though they're going to get hit by this noble cav charge, and that will be the end of them. Light hoplites are a little bit... their speed is nice because they're light, but that also means their armor is less. And they also don't stand up to cavalry charges as well because of their weight, but the speed is why I brought them, and that speed has been somewhat handy in this fight. Though right here I needed to click another engage order, and it looks like I'm going to get that. So I managed to wrap up the infantry fight once I caused the one chain rout, or the one rout, the rest of the Galatian infantry rout. However, this battle is far from over. There's 3 Galatian cavalry here, a Celtic slinger that came back, and my Massilian teammate is getting beaten over here. At this point, it would be best if he just took this cavalry over here to meet up with my troops, and basically take any troops that he can find and start coming back my way, because as he continues this fight over here, he's just going to be in rough shape. Though he is getting some decent charges here with the Hippeus Lancers, but he's taking kind of some unnecessary losses. These pikes aren't going to be much of a threat anyway, so losing a few cavalrymen to them is not that good. And the general could potentially die in here, so something to be careful of. He ends up routing these pikes, but again, this Massilian hoplite would be better to just try and disengage from here because the pikes can't follow. And these slingers needed to try and get away from this engagement. The Massilian cavalry might have been able to escort them. This is another potentially juicy target here for the Hippeus Lancers too, that noble horse. But again, I'm going to need cavalry support. I've only got 2 very weakened cavalry units alive. A citizen cav that's regrouped at 20 men, and an Italian cav at half strength. Out of my infantry, I escaped with most of my infantry because the Galatian player making that tactical error or formational error, whatever you want to call it. My general's in good shape at 108 men. Most of my troops, though, were exhausted from the fight, so I'm going to move up to a holding position and get ready to carry on the fight and hopefully rest my men. 40 Samnites there, 64, and then I've got one more Samnite here at 85 men. I think I have 2 mercenary veterans left, and my thorax hoplites remain as well. My slingers are out of ammo. My hope is, or they're almost out of ammo. My hope is to use them for charge bait against the enemy noble fighters, which still remain. The noble fighters are in good shape, both units over 100 men. There's a Carthaginian hoplite there with 104 men and one here with 115. The Massilian cavalry is now dead, having been caught by the Cappadocians and noble horse back here. So the only thing the Massilian's going to be able to lend me is this one Massilian hoplite, though that's not a unit to be underestimated. It is a good unit, solid charge, and pretty solid stats in general. Very nice attack for a hoplite. So I'm going to fast forward once again as we roll into the final phase of the battle. Both sides are going to regroup themselves. The Carthaginian has the remaining infantry, and the Cappadocian, or the Galatian, is going to support with his Cappadocians and noble horse. The noble fighters are superior in a one-on-one fashion to any infantry that I have here, but I do have numbers on my side, and we'll see. I intend to use it, so the general strategy is going to be to blunt the charge of the noble fighters, get my hoplites in, and then reinforce them with Samnites. You're going to see me move the Samnites back to the center momentarily and hold the flanks with the thorax hoplites, which are better versus cavalry. My general will be held in reserve because I do not need him to die early, and the light hoplites will serve this flank for cavalry protection, though these guys are going to be somewhat weak to getting charged from multiple directions if it happens. The rapid advance is still present. So as I'm resting, the Galatian player starts to make motions on my flank. He wants to go for this Samnite warrior, thinking it to be the weakest link. And I should have had my cavalry ready to pounce over here sooner, because then I can do just this. I can go into rapid advance with the light hoplites. The Galatian player intends to run, but if I would have had my cavalry nearby, I could have made them pay a lot more dearly for running from me, whereas my infantry won't really be able to get a lot of kills on them as they flee. So the Galatian player is going to get away with that for the most part, though he didn't really cause that much damage, but I've eaten up my my charge. So the Balearic slingers do get in the way of the charge to a degree of the mercenary fighters, but the mercenary noble fighters actually kind of just plow through the Balearics and still get a pretty decent charge on them and start racking up a lot of kills on my hoplites. So I back up immediately with the Samnite warriors, and I have my hoplites in the hoplite phalanx. Not worried about the Carthaginian hoplites, they can be stopped. My bigger worry is the cavalry that's going to try and rampage. Light hoplites get charged here. They're not going to like that one bit. They're a light unit and they weren't braced, and they are getting pummeled by that Cappadocian cavalry. And my mercenary Italian cav over here is going to suffer greatly at the hands of these superior units. I have my backlines protected with this mercenary veteran hoplite, but it's about to have to enter combat because this mercenary noble fighter has already beasted out a hoplite unit and basically torn through that Samnite warrior as well. So the battle's going to get pretty desperate at this point. I'm getting pretty worried about these noble fighters, though here they definitely do not get a charge. And I'm going to be able to get into hoplite phalanx again. This noble fighter is doing the same thing, tanking its way through 2 units. These guys have racked up over 100 kills since the beginning of that battle, though I did feed them some with the slingers. My general is now going to have to stand in the way of this Carthaginian hoplite. I can't allow it to have a rear charge. So my thorax hoplite's going to clash with the Carthaginian hoplite. The thorax hoplite is the superior unit. The Carthaginian cav gets kind of a weak charge here, fortunately for me. And then the noble general is going to go into a diamond formation, which is kind of odd. It's just going to slow them down. It does give them slightly improved melee attack and charge bonus, but it's also going to decrease the overall area in which they land their charge. I think had they been spread out a little bit, that could have been more dangerous. It is going to hurt my mercenary veteran hoplites a great deal, though, and probably cause them to rout. My thorax hoplites, though, come and try and pin them, but the noble horse is going to slip through its own men using a trick that I used on them earlier. So ends up being a good move. These mercenary veteran hoplites mopped up the fight on the flank, and they're now going to turn around and face this Carthaginian cav. The Carthaginian cav gets slowed down a little bit in this little patch of forest there. Still gets a charge, but they're not going to fare well versus this mercenary veteran hoplite. It's going to rip them up pretty bad as they try and disengage. But a mercenary noble fighter incoming. It's going to get a charge on me. Fortunately, the charge is kind of awkward, and I'm going to get my guys immediately into hoplite phalanx and let them start doing some work, but I am losing men. And the noble fighter is over 300 kills now, and this one's at 305 kills. My general over here, though, tanking out the fight against the Carthaginian hoplites quite easily. The enemy cavalry continues to try and do rear charges on my Massilian teammate, who is still trying to help me with his hoplites. And they are a tough breed because they have not died yet. How do you like that picture there in the background with the pyramids? Quite nice, huh? So, yep. That's what's happening right now. The noble horse general is down to 22 men. This is a tough unit indeed. The noble fighters here in the center actually start to get tanked out. My hoplites slowly overwhelm them as they tire down, and the superior armor of my hoplites apparently came to bear finally after the noble fighters made themselves tired with the shedding of blood of my previous troops, which was extreme. Anyway, my hoplites can now charge into the back of the mercenary noble fighters, which is good, and we can continue this fight, though I'm losing more hoplites on the other side. But we just stabbed one of those noble fighters through the brain there too. That's pretty cool. Noble horse inbound for a charge. It is going to cause some pretty substantial damage. I expect we'll see this number climb a little bit there. Only a few units, but you can see the morale damage inflicted is pretty bad. And this thorax hoplite and the mercenary veteran hoplite are starting to waver, and one goes and the other will probably follow, which is very unfortunate. That was a triple chevron on that unit. 251 kills, an impressive amount of kills for the mercenary veteran hoplite. That one's also triple chevron at 176. So all we have is a very depleted Massilian hoplite at 25 men, 84 thorax hoplites in my general's bodyguard. My general is alive. That would be him right here with the sweet shield. Holding the noble horse at bay for now. The Massilian hoplites charge in. They do have a good charge. They're going to hit that mercenary noble fighter, most likely gaining a flank charge and causing it to lose decisively, which is really hurting its morale. And now we're going to be able to catch the noble horse once and for all, and these guys actually end up fighting to the death. They fight to the last man. So this noble horse puts up a stunning performance in this battle, gets a lot of kills. So the Galatian player, although he lost the infantry fight, his cavalry went down with gusto, causing a lot of damage. And it's only now that this fight really starts to look winnable. The mercenary noble fighters have also put out a stellar performance, done an excellent job. But with the combined assault of these Massilian hoplites and now my thorax hoplites charging over, the mercenary noble fighters are shaken by army losses. They're losing. They're facing two heavily armored units that are in formation, and they rout. Very close battle. It came down to only 3 units being left on the field: the noble fighters, the depleted Massilian hoplite, and then my thorax hoplite general. So a very good battle indeed. Impressive number of kills on these hoplites here, and there's one main reason why that happened. It's because the Galatian allowed his infantry to be wrapped around. That is one case in which you will find that the hoplites will do quite well. There is another reason here too. He did not get a charge with his Galatian legionaries. Had he gotten a charge, that fight would have been probably swinging the other direction, and at that point my team could have lost decisively. So that mistake cost them the battle in my eyes, and I was glad I was able to capitalize on it. The Samnite warriors delivering a pretty nice performance here as well. But look at these noble fighters for Carthage. 315, 365, very impressive work. Very impressive work indeed. The light hoplites, I liked what they did on the flank though too. If we take a look at my teammate here, none of his units were able to end up being super cost effective, except this was the last Massilian hoplite that was alive. It did a pretty stellar job. And if you look, his Hippeus Lancers kind of got a few kills. Hard to say whether they paid for themselves. It depends on what they killed. The Carthaginian player, though, I mean, impressive here. The pikes were impressive because it's hard to get kills on pikes, and putting chevrons on the pikes with so many kills is definitely a sign that your pikes did better than they almost always do. Now, this is the part that would surprise most of you. The Galatian legionaries here just getting wrecked by hoplites, and, you know, if the scenario allows you to do it, it can happen. It's not likely, and don't necessarily go expecting that result. Hope you all enjoyed this. I will be back with more Total War Rome 2 online battles soon. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.